Those who camp by this lake will be hunted by the psychopath who never lets anyone leave alive. The film opens with a narration describing the brutal murder of 4 teenagers who were camping by a lake called Lake Bodom during the summer of 1960. It is believed that the killer was a psychopath whose identity has never been revealed. Many mysteries remain unsolved about who the real murderer of the 4 teenagers was. The story then shifts to the present day, showing a young woman named Ida Maria, who has isolated herself at home for the past 6 months due to a scandal that happened at her school. At that time, Ida was at a party with her classmates. During the party, Ida, who was unconscious after drinking too much, became the victim of inappropriate behavior by her friend named Elias. Seeing Ida in that helpless state, Elias took advantage of her and was intimate with her without her consent. A photo of Ida without clothes was spread among all the students at school, causing her to be ostracized by her friends. Deeply ashamed, Ida decided to drop out of school and not leave her house for 6 months. The scandalous photo that spread also made Ida's parents very angry.
Anna tytön mennä.
As punishment, they forbade her from going anywhere. Fortunately, Ida had one loyal friend named Nora who always supported and accompanied her through the difficult times. One day, Elias, sincerely wanting to apologize for his past mistake, decided to invite Ida on a trip to a cabin. Ida was allowed to bring her best friend Nora as company, while Elias would be accompanied by his friend named Tom. After giving it careful thought, Ida and Nora finally agreed to Elias's idea. For Ida, this trip was not just an ordinary vacation, but also her first chance to leave the house and enjoy time with her friends after 6 months of hardship.
Oothan se tullut ihan näkymätön. Tässä on uusi alku. Vitsi, sä oot kaunis.
Soon, Elias and Tom came to pick up Ida and Nora to prepare for their trip to the cabin.
Miksi sulla on tää kirves täällä?
Sitä mä en Moi.
Moi.
Unexpectedly, their journey took several hours longer because of heavy traffic, delaying their arrival.
Alta seksiä samalla lailla. Eli sun mielestä mitä vaan saa tehdä kohoneen suuntaan?
Vois mun puhua loppuun, kiitos. Sen takia jäbillä pitäisi olla ihan erilaiset säännöt.
They stopped by the roadside because Ida and Nora needed to use the bathroom. While waiting, Tom opened his diary, which contained photos of the 4 teenagers who had been murdered by the psychopath mentioned at the beginning of the story. On the way, they suddenly found that the road ahead was blocked by an iron chain.
Mikä paikka tää?
Fortunately, they had brought an axe, and Tom asked Elias to cut the chain with it. After a while, they had to continue on foot because the narrow path was no longer suitable for the car. Using the map Tom brought, they finally arrived at a lake. Ida felt confused and wondered why Tom had taken them there, as she saw no sign of the cabin they were supposed to reach. Tom quickly apologized and promised to explain that night why they had come to the lake. As night approached, they lit a campfire and set up their tents.
Paro! Tuu sit vittu ite hakee noit.
Paljon kelloa?
There, Tom told them about his fascination with an unsolved case, the death of 4 teenagers murdered by a psychopath during the summer of 1960 at Lake Bodom. The mysterious rumors surrounding the tragedy at Lake Bodom were what drove Tom to visit the place. He believed that by being there, they might discover traces of the psychopath if he was still lurking around the lake.
Se on tuntenut nämä metsät niin kuin omat taskunsa. Niin mä luulen.
Because it was already late at night, they began preparing to sleep. However, in the middle of the night, Ida woke up after hearing a sound coming from outside the tent. She immediately woke her friends, and Elias volunteered to step outside to check the situation. Tom, Ida, and Nora grew anxious when Elias did not return after several minutes. Suddenly, Elias jumped back in and startled them as a joke. A bit later, Nora went out alone into the woods to pee, and not wanting her to go by herself, Elias decided to accompany her.
Nora!
Shortly after Nora and Elias left, Ida again heard strange noises coming from outside the tent. Without warning, the tent suddenly collapsed. Tom quickly went out to see what had happened, but moments later, Ida was shocked to see Tom stumble back inside, covered in blood. Ida screamed loudly, and her cries were heard by Nora and Elias, who rushed back to the tent and found Tom in critical condition. As he was dying, Tom urged them to pack up their things and leave immediately because there was still a psychopath roaming around the lake, possibly the same killer who murdered the 4 teenagers at the beginning of the story. Hearing that, Ida, Nora, and Elias ran away, just as Tom had instructed.
Vittu, jos pitänyt jättää
While running through the woods, Nora tripped over a tree branch and hurt her leg. Unable to walk further, she told Ida and Elias to go ahead and find help. Ida and Elias continued through the forest, but they couldn't find the path leading back to their car. They grew increasingly frustrated, realizing they had been walking in circles without any clear direction. Refusing to give up, they kept moving while talking to each other. Ida then asked Elias why he had been so cruel to spread her embarrassing photo to everyone at school. Firmly, Elias denied the accusation, saying he had nothing to do with it. He was confused by the rumor claiming that he had done something indecent to Ida and shared her photos. Elias insisted it was all a lie and that he never did such a thing. He joined the trip to the cabin because he wanted to talk to Ida directly about the accusation that had destroyed his reputation. Elias asked Ida to show proof that those photos even existed, but she couldn't provide any. Elias tried to convince her that the alleged photos never existed and that it was merely an attempt to ruin her name. He challenged Ida to show the photos if they were real, but neither her family nor the police had ever seen them. This showed that the accusations were nothing but false rumors meant to destroy Ida's reputation. Ida then revealed that it was Nora who told her about Elias's involvement in spreading the photos. Hearing this, Elias felt the need to clear things up directly with Ida and explain everything to end the misunderstanding. Even though it was a misunderstanding, Elias still felt he needed to apologize for what had happened. Suddenly, Elias was stabbed from behind. It was Nora.
Sä et tiedä.
She said that everything was finally over, and the revenge Ida had been holding on to all this time had been fulfilled. They then changed their clothes and prepared to dispose of Elias and Tom's bodies in the lake, along with all the evidence. After dumping the bodies, they hurried back to the car, only to realize that the car keys were still in Elias's pocket. Reluctantly, they returned to the lake to retrieve them. Since Nora wasn't a good swimmer, she asked Ida for help. Ida, who was a strong swimmer, dove into the water to find Elias's body. It was difficult at first because of the darkness and depth of the lake, but after struggling for a while, Ida finally found Elias's body and retrieved the car keys from his pocket. They then quickly left the place.
Aurinko nousi vielä pari tuntia. Tää? Oot sä tosissas?
During the trip, Ida told Nora that Elias had known nothing about the spread of the photos. In fact, Elias had said that those photos never existed and that it was all slander meant to destroy Ida's reputation. Ida asked Nora directly to explain why she had accused Elias of being responsible for spreading the humiliating photos. Nora tried to deny it and insisted that Elias was indeed the one who spread them. However, when Ida demanded solid proof to support Nora's claim, Nora became angry and defensive.
Sä oot kiittämätön! Tehnyt niin vitun paljon sun puolesta ja sä et edes vittuks!
She felt that Ida was doubting her words and not appreciating everything she had done for her. Ida understood how important Nora's help had been in seeking revenge, and that without her, that revenge might never have been carried out. Still, Ida felt that Nora's anger and refusal to provide clear evidence were unfair. Although she was grateful for Nora's help, Ida hoped Nora would try to understand her position and be willing to speak honestly. Ida wanted to make sure that every step taken in seeking truth and justice was based on solid facts and clear evidence. After the argument, Nora finally confessed that the photo of Ida without clothes had never existed. She admitted that all the lies and rumors she spread at school were meant to ruin Ida's reputation, hoping that everyone would distance themselves from her. Nora confessed that her actions had been driven by her feelings for Ida, even though they were both women. When everyone began avoiding Ida, Nora used the situation to get closer to her and make her more dependent on her. At the party that night, Nora had secretly mixed a sedative into Ida's drink to make her lose consciousness and then moved her to a bed. She used that situation to fabricate a story that Ida had been intimate with Elias and to spread false rumors about the existence of indecent photos. Even though the photos never existed, her lies were enough to make people believe them and turn against Ida. The false rumor created by Nora caused Ida to harbor hatred toward Elias, which Nora then used to help Ida take revenge. After hearing Nora's confession, Ida was filled with guilt and regret for what she had done, which had led to the deaths of Elias and Tom. She decided that once she returned home, she would tell her parents and everyone at school the truth about Nora's lies that had ruined her name. However, that plan was cut short when Nora suddenly attacked Ida with a wrench, leaving her face badly injured. Shocked and angry, Ida fought back while Nora was driving. As a result, the car lost control and both their heads hit the dashboard, knocking them unconscious. Nora was the first to regain consciousness and saw someone approaching their car.
Hei. Ida, kuuletko mua?
The man asked if they were all right. Without saying much, the man, who happened to be driving a tow truck, hooked their car and began towing it away.
Pidä herätys. Ida.
When Ida regained consciousness, Nora grew suspicious of the man standing before them. She asked Ida where the knife was, the one Ida had used to kill Tom. Ida insisted that she had never killed Tom, and instead she thought Nora was the one who had done it. If neither of them had killed Tom, then who did? It suddenly crossed their minds that the man standing in front of them might actually be the psychopath. After all, it was strange for someone to be wandering in the middle of the forest at night. The psychopath began towing their car at high speed, which led to a severe crash that left both Nora and Ida trapped in a terrible accident. After the terrible crash, the psychopath got out of the vehicle to check on Nora and Ida.
Nyt mennään.
Trapped under the wrecked car, Ida told Nora to leave her behind and run for help. Nora immediately ran into the forest, promising to find assistance. Seeing her attempt to escape, the psychopath released his dog. The vicious animal quickly caught up with Nora as she tried to flee. Later, both Ida and Nora regained consciousness with sacks covering their heads. In front of them stood the psychopath who had murdered the 4 teenagers at the beginning of the story, accompanied by his dog. Their mouths had been sealed shut, preventing them from screaming for help. Without mercy, the psychopath killed Nora right before Ida's eyes. Suddenly, Ida woke up in her own front yard in a terrible state. Physically and mentally shattered by the horrifying experience, she was found by her parents, who were shocked to see her condition. Ida told them about the tragic events at Lake Bodom, where a psychopath had brutally taken the lives of her friends. Soon after, the police discovered the bodies of Nora, Elias, and Tom. However, Ida was accused of murdering her own friends, and no one believed her story about what had happened at Lake Bodom. Although it had not been proven that Ida was responsible for the murders, the police continued to investigate the case thoroughly. News about the mystery of Lake Bodom and its haunting psychopath spread widely, attracting many people who wanted to uncover the truth about the place. Yet, those who dared to enter the forest and the lake were unaware of the danger waiting for them because the psychopath was still there, ready to attack anyone who came too close. The story ends